In the Tiger Suit. June 2, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. I come from a small town in the Midwest. High school sports are a big thing there, and our team, the Tigers, had its own social glitterati attached to it. The coach, the teams, the captains, the cheerleaders, the Drum Majors and Majorettes, and where was I in this midst of all this? In the Tiger Suit. I was the team mascot. And nobody knew it but the gym teacher, either. After everyone else was suited up and out on the field, I'd sneak downstairs to the janitor closet and struggle into the 30-pound costume, and the crowd would roar with laughter when I appeared, because I always made it clear that I was late or having trouble with my tail or some darn thing. I liked being the mascot, a job everyone avoided, precisely because it was anonymous. I got to express the emotions of the hometown contingent, leaping in the air with delight when there was a big score, skulking and shaking my paws when there was a bad referee call. Any vaudeville pratfall in the book was fair game. I got to kiss the coach, pull down the cheerleaders' sweaters, chase lost balls, pick up litter, shepherd the elderly to their seats, and of course, lead the yearly homecoming day parade, all anonymously, of course. And that's how I liked it, because it wasn't about me. Now I realize that anonymous or relatively anonymous service isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I am the one who delivers in brown envelopes and doesn't write a return address on the package. I'm the one that finds your lost child at the grocery store and brings them back to you, then disappears while you are still kissing and scolding. Because it's not about me, and I realize that it's not about me, and I am okay with that. In fact, I prefer it that way. So anyone coming to the American States Assembly and expecting to find conventional leadership and political bombast will be sadly disappointed. Unlike any political or social organization you have ever experienced, it won't be about centralized power and committee chairmen. And I, by far, won't have the answers to everything, solutions all neatly worked out, and everything in place, because it isn't a well-oiled machine yet. It's just getting started. It will take a lot of people to make this work. Not just one old woman from Big Lake, Alaska. Frankly, I am loath to be the public face of it, or to be in any kind of public position at all. I am standing in the gate to make sure that the effort stays on course, fending off threats from without and threats from within, because if nothing else, our own ignorance and indoctrination is enough to do us in. If we are to succeed in restoring our lawful government to full function and glory, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice and learning and teaching and growing. We have to learn history we've never been taught, processes in banking and law that we never knew existed, and while we are struggling along with our own daily traumas, we have to try to help everyone else through this process. After that, we have to hold elections and run our own government. Everyone talks about self-governance, but have you ever really thought about what that means? A whole government? One that is competent and serving the people as it should from the grassroots to the top? It's a mammoth undertaking, and though we are starting with a firm foundation and the house plans, let's face up, 150 years of drifting off course and being commandeered by our purported allies takes a tremendous toll. We not only have to do the job before us, we have to retrain ourselves as we do it. We have to learn to think in new ways, and in view of the actual history, we have to make new assumptions about who we are as a nation and where we fit in the world and how things are supposed to work. There's no central power coming down to us from on high. We have to do this all by ourselves from the grassroots upward, and while there are many observers cheering us on and hoping and praying to God that we succeed, there are others whose wishes for us and for our upstart government of the people, for the people, and by the people, are anything but kind. Like the founders, we are facing a challenge we never expected, a job we were never prepared to do. Those who have usurped our government have crippled us almost from birth, creating false assumptions, lying about or simply not disclosing the actual history, leaving us without the tools we need to get a grip on the situation, much less self-govern. Governing us is something they are willing to do for us, so that they can profit from our ignorance and our wrong assumptions and our willingness to be led by authority figures, even if it is to our own self-destruction and the destruction of our country. We haven't been taught that we are the only authority and that what happens in our world is up to us. We've been taught just the opposite, the better to control and to oppress and to misdirect us for the profit and the power of a few. Now that we are awake and learning the truth about our past and also our present situation, we find that the rest of the world is in an uproar too. The Brits are realizing just how far they've been conned and beaten into submission. The French aren't willing to eke out their lives in penury anymore. And the Germans well know that theirs is a puppet government and that they of all people, have borne the brunt of it all. Things aren't going so well for the bad guys. It appears that Group Number One's well-laid Plan B fallback position to surreptitiously take over the Chinese government with bribes of various kinds using Hong Kong as a backdoor and their bid to impose a worldwide gold standard isn't working. The Chinese have remembered their own history. The Opium Wars. The Boxer Rebellion. And so much more. It also appears that Group Number 2, the Arab and Islamic world, isn't buying the candy or drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. They know they are being cheated and used as tools in the globalist agenda. Teddy Roosevelt's sardonic natural resources plan, buy everyone else's resources on the cheap and save our own for later, has been well applied to them. As their own oil supplies and access to the world market dwindles, they find that the US had far greater oil resources hidden away the whole time. Now let's hope that they further realize that the US is not America. A lot more of us have to wake up to that same startling revelation, that the US is not America, and don our tiger suits. A lot more people like me, who have spent their lives being quiet and avoiding the limelight, have to step forward out of their comfort zone. As we do, we face many challenges and many challengers. Those who have profited by evil don't want to give it up. Those who are confused won't know who to believe, at first. And the rest of us have to overcome odds that only divine providence can settle in our favor. I recently read an article by Kevin Annett, and I can't find it right now, so I can't quote directly, but it was basically that we can't stand around waiting for what others can do. We have to do what we can do. And that's what makes the difference. He is right about that. Much of what he is saying is true. I just hope his activities don't lead to wholesale destruction of churches and condemnation of Roman Catholics, the same way I hope the world will recognize that America is not responsible for the evils promoted by the US.